Hi, and welcome to Assembly Audible. I'm your host, Chris Smith, multimedia editor with Assembly Magazine. I'm joined today by Sudhanshu Gaur, Ph.D., Vice President at Hitachi America and Chief Architect for Smart Manufacturing at automotive supplier Hitachi Astemo. Hitachi Astemo has also been an early adopter of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Can you talk a little bit about how the company is deploying that type of technology?
Sure. So we started looking at, there have been a lot of advances in machine learning and artificial intelligence, and you see lot applications being developed and catered towards manufacturing industry. So we have been working with the Hitachi R&D colleagues, and we have several ongoing pilots. I'll give you some examples. For example, the first one that comes to my mind is COPQ, cost of poor quality, right? So this is a major very critical KPI for all the manufacturers. Ideally, we want to drive it down to zero. Traditionally, we have been looking at accumulated know-how of a skilled worker to figure out what's wrong with the, in case we run into those issues. But now, using machine learning applications, we have automated the whole analysis process. We can continuously monitor as and when the production data is available, figure out what are the bottleneck processes, apply machine learning techniques to figure out if the cause is actually that process that is showing a lot of defects, or is there any other process that's forwarding products into that process. So that's one example of using machine learning. In addition, we are also looking at how we can utilize artificial intelligence, coupled with a lot of sensing technologies such as cameras. For example, figuring out what are worker activity using camera analysis and how it relates to measuring cycle time, or what we call SOP compliance, right? Standard operating procedure, if the workers are following the set procedures or not, which may have impact on the product quality. So those are some of the examples. And the way we are deploying these technologies is by having a good understanding of the use cases. If those use cases are common across a wide variety of plants, what are the set of technologies needed to build solutions to solve those pain points? And finally, looking at the ROI and going forward, looking into how we can provide a scalable solution that can go beyond one lines or multiple factories.
Well, as you well know, smart manufacturing strategies can be a tricky road to navigate. What are some of the stumbling blocks to successfully implementing those strategies, and how can they be avoided?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. So if you look at statistics, they say somewhere 70 to 80%, like smart manufacturing initiatives or digital transformation initiatives fail at various stages. And more often than not, it's not the technology that's the bottleneck. In my view, the main reason is the gap between the intended, beneficiaries of such initiatives, such as workers or supervisors who are deemed to benefit from so-called digital transformation initiatives, and the team that's actually in charge of driving this initiative. So there's a huge gap. Oftentimes, the voice of these end users is not accounted for. For example, you can see initiative where people may go ahead, deploy a bunch of sensors or bring collaborative robotics without looking ahead and seeing how these different pieces of technology can fit together and help the people on the ground, right? So that has been, I think, the major reason behind such failures. And in my view, if you want to have a successful initiative, what you need to do is, I think, two things. First is don't ignore the human factor, right? Bring all your internal stakeholders, such as folks from IT, production, engineering, maintenance teams together, reach a consensus. And the second is follow a baby step process, right? Figure out an iterative process. Look at what are the use cases, are they scalable? What is the ROI? What is the set of technology needed to provide those solutions? And finally, how you can scale to realize the true ROI. So if you follow these, I believe you won't fall into that 70-80% category.
To listen to this complete interview, check out the Assembly Audible podcast at assemblymag.com. And don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the latest in the world of assembly.